The Thirsty Crow. One hot day, a thirsty crow was looking for some water to drink. He looked everywhere, but he couldn't find any.
Oh, I'm so thirsty. Where can I find some water?
After searching and searching, the crow finally found a bottle with some water in it.
Phew! Finally, some water!
The crow was excited. He couldn't wait to drink the water. But when he put his beak into the bottle, he couldn't reach the water. You see, there was only a little bit at the bottom.
Oh, even though I've found water, I still can't drink it.
The thirsty crow thought for a moment and came up with a brilliant idea.
Ah, yes, that's it. I'm going to drink this water once and for all.
The thirsty crow picked up pebbles and dropped them into the bottle, one by one. The water inside the bottle began to rise and rise, until finally he could drink the water.
Oh, finally, some water. Sip, sip.
And so, the thirsty crow wasn't thirsty anymore.
We have 7 books in the Old Testament classified as wisdom literature. They are Proverbs, Job, Psalms, Ecclesiastes, Sirach, Song of Songs, and Wisdom.
Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job. And all of these books are addressing the same set of questions. What kind of world are we living in? And what does it look like to live well in this world?
So, how to be good at life.
Yeah. So each of these books tackles these questions from a unique perspective. And it's important to understand all of them to get a fully biblical perspective on the good life. So as a thought experiment, you could actually imagine each of these books as a person.
We're going to start by meeting the book of Proverbs, the brilliant young teacher.
Yeah, she would be the perfect friend to have around when you need really specific advice.
So what makes her so smart?
Well, Proverbs can see things that most people don't see. She believes that there's an invisible creative force in the universe that can guide people in how they should live. And you can't see it, just like you can't see gravity, but it affects everything that we do.
So what's this force?
Well, in Hebrew, it's called chokhmah. And it usually gets translated into English as wisdom. It's an attribute of God that God used to create the world. And Chokhmah has been woven into the fabric of things and how they work. So wherever people are making good or just or wise decisions, they're tapping into Chokhmah.
And whenever someone's making a bad decision, they're working against Chokhmah.
Right, or as it says in Proverbs chapter 1, the waywardness of fools will destroy them. but the one who listens to wisdom lives in security. So we've looked at Proverbs, who you could think of as a bright young teacher.
She's all about pursuing wisdom, an attribute of God that's woven into reality. And she's optimistic that if you use wisdom, you will build a successful life.
But then we come to Ecclesiastes, who's more like this sharp, middle-aged critic. And he says,
You think using wisdom will bring you success. You'd better think again, because life here under the sun is meaningless.
And that's a phrase he uses a lot in this book. Proverbs, life isn't random. There's a clear cause and effect relationship between doing the right thing and being rewarded.
but the fact is that life doesn't always work that way. The critic has observed a glitch in the system. He calls it chance, or in his words,
The race doesn't always go to the swift, or the battle to the strong, nor does food always come to the wise, or wealth to the brilliant, or favor to the educated. Time and chance happen to them all.
So his point is that you can't really control anything in life. It's just way too unpredictable.
Ecclesiastes, who observes, people don't always get what they deserve.
Yeah, he said the world isn't always fair, that life is unpredictable and hard to comprehend, just like smoke.
And this makes you wonder, okay, well, is God wise and just?
Exactly. And so it's that question that is being explored in the final book of wisdom, Job.
All right, let's dive in.
So Job begins with a strange story that takes place up in the heavens, which are described something like a heavenly command center. So God is there with these angelic creatures called the sons of God, and they're all there reporting for duty.
And God points out this guy Job, his servant, showing how righteous and good he is.
And then one of these angelic creatures approaches. He's referred to in Hebrew as the Satan.
The Satan. Who is this?
Well, this word is actually a title, which literally means the one who is opposed. So out of this whole crew, he is the one questioning how God is running the world. And he proposes that Job might not actually love God, that he's only a good person because God rewards him. If God were to take away all of the good things he gave to Job, then we would see his true colors.
So he thinks Job is just working the system?
That's exactly right. Maybe he's obeying just to get what he wants.
So God agrees to this experiment and allows the Satan to inflict suffering on Job.
And Job loses everyone and everything that he cares about. It is devastating. And remember, he deserves none of this. God himself said so.
The remarkable thing is that in the midst of all this suffering, Job still praises God.
At least for chapters 1 and 2. But then in chapter 3, we find out how he's really feeling inside. He unleashes this poem that reveals his devastation. It's a long, elaborate curse on the day that he was born.
After this, some of Job's friends come to visit him to offer their help. And all of them are like, Job, you must have done something horribly wrong to deserve this. After all, we know God is just, and we know the world is ordered by God's justice and fairness, so you must be getting what you deserve.
And for the next 34 chapters, the friends and Job go back and forth in very dense Hebrew poetry. His friends keep speculating about why God might have sent such suffering, and they even start making up lists of hypothetical sins that Job must have committed. But after each accusation, Job defends his innocence.
And Job is innocent.
He is. He's also on an emotional roller coaster. At some moments, he's very confident that God is still wise and just.
Yeah, in other moments, he's doubting God's goodness.
He even comes to accuse God of being reckless, unfair, and corrupt. So by the end of the dialogues, Job demands that God come and explain himself in person.
Song of Songs, a love poem between a man and a woman, and it'll make you blush.
Remember, in Proverbs, humanity's pursuit of wisdom was portrayed with the symbolism of a man pursuing a woman in a garden.
But in this song, it's the woman who's searching and longing for her lover.
Yes, it's a poetic image of Lady Wisdom pursuing us so that we can have life. In fact, the song ends with a poem about how this lady's love is more powerful than death itself.
So the traditional teachers in Israel were not only the priest and the prophet, but also the wise man. These wise men were associated with the king and political affairs. Among them, many sought to respect the Mosaic law and the advice given by the prophets. Israel as a community ceased to exist after the exile in Babylon. People dispersed into neighboring countries and became very individualistic, each one concerned for his security and that of his family or clan. Contact with the foreigners made them crave for riches, power. The rich trampled upon the poor and exploited them. Even the voice of the prophet was no longer heard, and the people disregarded the law and the cult. Into such an immoral environment, the sages stepped in to propose the learning and search of wisdom. Reflecting on their day-to-day experiences and events, these wise men encoded rules of conduct which today we would call common sense beliefs. Moral lessons were given in the form of short sayings, proverbs, poetic expressions and images, compare and contrast statements. For example, Proverbs 15 verses 17 says about relationships with each other, "Better is a dinner of vegetables where love is, rather than a fatted ox and hatred with it." Or even Proverbs 25 verses 16, which has a lesson for those of us who tend to be greedy. "If you have found honey, eat only enough for you, or else, having too much, you will vomit it." You may wonder how these practical books for right living could be included in the Old Testament along with Genesis, Exodus, Joshua, Judges, etc., which speak of God's dealings with the Israelites. The sages did not limit their faith beliefs to the law of Moses, nor did they think that good conduct consisted only in doing what the prophets asked them to do, like offering sacrifices in the temple. They could not separate their ordinary experiences from God. Their whole life, all that happened to them during the day and night, could be related to God. Therefore, those who practiced these lessons of wisdom realized a proper relationship with God and with each other. To know God in wisdom books is to know the truth and to do what is truthful. The authors of Proverbs and Sirach make wisdom divine yet within our grasp. They sort of adapted the religion of the past to the new changed conditions of life through their experiential reflection. The following 7 books of the Old Testament are classified as wisdom literature: Proverbs, Job, Psalms, Ecclesiastes, Sirach, Song of Songs, and Wisdom. We will now have a look at the 2 themes that wisdom literature explores in a big way. The first, retribution. The sages proposed the retribution theory to adapt the teachings of the old to the new individualistic way of life, wherein the individual person was the center of life. If I do good, I will reap good, and if I do bad, I will reap evil. The simplistic understanding of divine justice is exposed in the book of Proverbs and the book of Sirach. Proverbs 26 verses 27 says, "He who digs a pit will fall into it, and a stone will come back upon him who starts it rolling." Whereas Sirach 12 verses 1 to 2 tells us, "If you do a kindness, know to whom you do it, and you will be thanked for your good deeds. Do good to a godly man, and you will be repaid, if not by him, certainly by the Most High." Through this retribution theory, the sages try to establish an order of things and deeds as seen in creation. We could call it a deed consequence, action result order. You press the green button of good deeds and the result is prosperity and happiness. You press the red button of bad deeds and the consequence is adversity or sadness. It's like a mechanical way of life. A good deed automatically produces good fruit. A bad deed produces bad fruit. The retribution theory can run into difficulties. For example, in school, when examinations are held and cheaters get higher ranks. Or at home, when mummy puts the blame of the mischief done by the younger kids on the older ones. In law courts, bribes to the judges by criminals to win their cases. And so, we must say that the Lord is not a God of deed, consequence, action, result, order. The Lord gives us many surprises when He doesn't judge like human beings. In the book of Job and Ecclesiastes, the authors meet with innocent and virtuous people who do good but yet suffer disease, poverty, and other types of adversity. In the book of Genesis, you see how the Lord repents of the evil he intended to inflict on sin laden humanity and makes his covenant with them. God renews his friendship each time man goes astray. When we study Job and Ecclesiastes separately, we will see how they solve the crucial issue of the suffering experienced by the good and just people. God's ways are above the minds of humans. Their limited intelligence can never grasp all of them. In fact, after the exile, the sages began to recognize the mystery element in so much of life's happenings and events. Sirach gives us a warning. Seek not what is too difficult for you, nor investigate what is beyond your power. God's activity is a power over which the sages have no control. Though they believed in the link between success and good life, they were forced to admit that they came across certain limit situations which did not fit into the action result mold. They went to battle after proper planning and calculating, but no matter the number of horses and clever strategies, victory belongs to the Lord. Proverbs 21 verses 30 to 31 says, "No wisdom, no understanding, no counsel can avail against the Lord. The horse is made ready for the day of battle, but the victory belongs to the Lord." The second theme is personification of wisdom. In the book of wisdom, happiness in life is understood from the point of view of one's relationship to God and to each other here on this earth. True wisdom is the righteousness which is the key to living in harmony with God, with other human beings, and with the rest of creation. Wisdom literature puts basic choices before us: the way of goodness or evil, the way of the wise or the fool, the attitudes of humility or human pride. That is why several passages represent wisdom as though it were a person close to God. This is like a literary technique to show how God becomes present in a personal and intimate way, communicating to us through our reason, understanding, and common sense. She appears as an image of a wise, omniscient, just, and saving woman with a capacity for unity. Lady Wisdom is unique in the Bible. This person assisted God in the work of creation, and that is why wisdom affirms her existence before creation. Before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills I was brought forth, then I was beside him, like a craftswoman beside the Creator. Her exact role in creation is not clear, but she delights to be with humans. She now wants to instruct the young as a mother would teach her children. Sirach shows us that Lady Wisdom has great concern for humans and invites them to her banquet where they can all have their fill. Those who eat her will hunger for more, and those who drink will thirst for more. In other words, relationships with her need to deepen and become richer since they lead to God. She cannot be viewed apart from the Lord from which she originates. She is a mysterious order in the world which invites all humans to pattern their lives on the order and harmony present in the cosmos. The awesome God of creation is very much involved in our day-to-day affairs and experiences. This very awesome God will become flesh in Christ and live among humans, sharing all our experiences. St. Paul calls Christ the wisdom of God. Let us now move into a prayerful posture. Sit straight, hands on your lap, and breathe in the calmness of God. Remove all other thoughts and breathe in deeply. Breathe in the love of God. Breathe out all negativity, all evil thoughts. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And listen to the invitation by wisdom and by folly, and decide whose table you want to sit at. A reading from the book of Proverbs. Wisdom has built her house and made 7 columns for it. She has had an animal killed for a feast, mixed spices in the wine, and set the table. She has sent her servant girls to call out from the highest places in town, "Come in, ignorant people." And to the foolish man she says, "Come and eat my food, and drink the wine that I have mixed. Leave the company of ignorant people, and live. Follow the way of knowledge." Stupidity is like a loud, ignorant, shameless woman. She sits at the door of a house or on a seat in the highest part of town and calls out to the people passing by, who are minding their own business, "Come in, ignorant people." To the foolish man she says, "Stolen water is sweeter. Stolen bread tastes better." Her victims do not know that the people who go to her house die, that those who have already entered are now deep in the world of the dead. The first invitation symbolizes the school in which wisdom reigns supreme. It is also the world, since it has 7 pillars and the world was created in 7 days. Wisdom was present at creation, and the banquet is her teaching. Lady Folly, on the other hand, also invites people for a banquet using the same words addressed by Lady Wisdom, which is, "Come in, ignorant people," in a certain sense mocking her. This shows that we need to discern and judge for ourselves what is right and what is wrong. Folly may appear to be good at first. What she offers is bread and water, but it is stolen. This is the enticement to fast riches and an easy life, in contrast to the long discipline of wisdom. The meal which Lady Wisdom is offering has been meticulously prepared with spices, etc. The choice between wisdom and folly is, however, a choice between life and death, and those who go to folly's table cannot return alive. Why do you think the foolishness of ignorance has become attractive to some people in today's world? Could you ask God to save you from such a temptation? Let us pray in silence to God to grant us wisdom to live our lives smartly and eat at the table of wisdom.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but
Now imagine that you have been invited to a banquet by Lady Wisdom. You have worn your best clothes and many of your friends are at the table. Before the banquet begins, you are asked to raise a toast to Lady Wisdom. Now, if you have attended weddings, usually a close relative or friend of the bride and groom give a short introduction to the couple and then thank everyone gathered at the reception to participate in their joyful occasion. What would you say while raising a toast to Lady Wisdom? You can choose one of two themes: wisdom in general, that is, the need to be as educated as you can, or wisdom as righteousness in moral life. Share your speech with your catechism teacher.